thank you for the invitation to talk here. It's a great honor even to start the program. Looking back, and based on this, you can guess how long it is since I got my degree in computing science. From then until now, to me, three major things have happened. The first one is that we got the internet, making it possible for the machines to talk to each other, to connect to each other, to communicate in a standardized and cheap way. The second one was the World Wide Web, which came in the 90s. It made it possible to connect the information, to give the information out to the human being in a standardized way and cheap. And now we have the AI wave. So why is this relevant to the library? And this is the library perspective. First of all, the internet is about data. You know the pyramid, right? Yes. You can say yes. When I ask, you say yes. Yes. No is not allowed. Yeah, only yes. The World Wide Web is about information, and of course, now we talk about the knowledge. In the library context, we are used to handle data, we are used to handle information, and with the AI-assisted library, we are now talking about the knowledge and the information. This is making the library a better place, I claim. But it is a choice. And it was also a choice back in 2005 when brave people at our library make a new strategy. And the strategy was very simple. We had to digitize the collection to make it available to the public, because the public expect the information to be on the internet, the data, the information, the knowledge, right? And we had some brave national librarians. They made choices, and I had to have these photos of the national librarians in Norway, because I think they are beautiful, right? And extremely brave. And this goes back to the manifest we wrote in 2005. Again, digitize everything. And that is the core of what we have been doing at the National Library. Today, we have digitized more or less all the books ever published in Norway. Close to everything published in the form of newspapers. And we have a lot of newspapers, we have a lot of photographs, we have, you name it, we have it. And a lot of it is available to everybody, and more or less everything is available for example, research. Based on this, we chose in 2018 to establish a laboratory for AI. And I got this nice task to build this laboratory. And the main thing we were supposed to do was to deliver knowledge to the organization about the potential use and the implications of AI for the library. This has turned, as I will show you soon, to something more. We do experiments, we do research, and we do small pilots within the library, but only 5 persons. You may claim that 5 persons is not very much, but standing on the shoulders of giants, it's quite a bit. We deliver mainly knowledge, but also product things like data models and software to the public, and everything is open and free to use. Just 2 or 3 words about machine learning, because I'm going to use a few terms throughout the rest of the talk. First of all, the new thing about AI in terms of machine learning is that we have learning software. Software that we can mix with data through training, and then we will make something we call models. And models, and I'm going to use the word model, quite a few times now, the model is the working element, the software that we use. And you will recognize these words like llama, which is the architecture, the software. The data may be harvested from the internet, it may be the collections from a library, and at the end there you will have trained models that you will recognize, like the GPT-4. I presume some of you have used the ChatGPT. These things, they are packaged. So to the left we have models that can do everything and nothing. If you get such a model, the foundation model, you cannot use it really. You have to adapt it to some kind of use through special data, and you have to wrap it with some software to make a user experience. And again, you will recognize the words. To the left we have, for example, GPT-4, and to the right we have ChatGPT. I presume some of you have used ChatGPT. So that is basically the background. Now, I would just give you an example of how far we have come based on our library and one demo pilot that Google have launched recently. Back in 1970, the Norwegian author Knut Hamsun wrote a novel, The Growth of the Soil, Markens grøde. He got the Nobel Prize in 1920 for that one. And I'm going to connect this to the notebook LLM at Google. And this is our digital library. We can find Markens grøde at the center there, the 2 volumes published in 1917. We can read, of course, the entire book on the internet. This is self-evident today. What is a little interesting here is the little circle up to the right. You can, because this is out of copyright, you can also download the entire book and use it as you want in our library. I did. I downloaded the book and I gave it to Notebook LLM, and I suggest you try to use it. This is in Norwegian, and this is fantastic about the AI. It talks the language you talk, basically. I gave the 2 books, which is the 1 book, to Notebook LLM. It gives me, of course, a summary, but it has quite a few other things, and you should, again, give it a try. These, for example, are quiz-like questions with answers about this book in Norwegian for me. These are relevant questions in the eyes of Notebook LLM. Questions with reference to the question in the texts, which is kind of nice. But the real beauty is this, I would say. Let me see if I can start this.
Welcome in. We're diving deep into Growth of the Soil today.
Oh, fantastic.
By Knut Hamsun.
Yeah.
A novel that you, the listeners, have been asking us to explore. It's the story of Isak and Inger, who carve out a life in the Norwegian wilderness. But as we'll see, it's much more than just a simple homesteading tale.
Right.
It's about resilience, the clash between tradition and progress, and that ever-present power of nature.
Yeah, and you know what's so fascinating about this book is like Hamsun uses the rawness of the wilderness to mirror the internal journeys.
Welcome in.
Let's stop there. This is a podcast made by the Notebook LLM. It's sadly enough in English, but happily for you, you could understand. But it's great. And it's totally made by AI. Even the voices are made by AI. Nothing is prepared. It's done on the fly, and it works. It's very good. It connects me very well to the content of the book from 1917. And that is the main message of that one. For the rest of the talk, I'll walk you through 3 different perspectives, the easy, the difficult, and the new, by examples, to make it understandable. And for each of those, there will be a couple of takeaways. which you will get to know before I start talking about the different ones. So first of all, the easy. Today, the technology is so good, it's so mature, you can use it wherever you want, basically, in your organization, for whatever you want to do. So I claim that the AI functionality is there and should be used. We could do more with less, and we can do it better. And we can also do things that we couldn't do before. I'll give you a few examples. First of all is the Sami bibliography. We have a Sami population up north in Norway, Sweden, Finland, and Russia. They are known to keep domesticated reindeers and for other things. We have a bibliography supposed to have keep track of publications relevant for this population and this culture. The workflow is highly complicated and difficult. All the arrows are physical volumes floating around in the organization between people, and they do different kinds of work. We did this. So the blue arrows changed to green. The green are digital, and we eliminated a lot of work. We did this by training a model on the data that we had, the existing bibliography, the digital content that we had, and we assisted the end users in the bibliography with candidates for the bibliography. It performs better than the people. So the work it does is done better than the people, the experts. And they agree, they does. We made this named entity recognition thing that is able to recognize names of persons, organizations, places, etc., etc. So in this way, you can easily find relevant elements in texts. You can just throw a text to a service, and you get an annotated text back. This is performing extremely, extremely well. Things that we couldn't do, of course, we could do OCR on printed typed text like this. This is digitization of photographs from a newspaper. It will typically contain a lot of text on the backside. You do the OCR on the backside. With AIS, is the OCR, it's done better, but this we couldn't do before. This is HDR, that is the recognition of handwriting. And we can immediately now copy the text which is written on the backside. I don't know if this text is very relevant to the user of the library, but it's of course possible to do and transferable to other kinds of objects. So this was typical illustrations of what can be done to improve the workflow within a library. And we try now to make use of this kind of technology to be more effective and to do more with less in our library. Then we come to the more difficult part, which is the user services. And I would say slightly more important. And the takeaways will be something like that the functionality of AI really is going to challenge what we know as metadata and the way we work with metadata. This is scary to many within the library. We will also have services that really make the library a better place for the user. And we will enable a better understanding. We will support the production of knowledge in a better way. I'll give you a few examples of those strange things happening now. First of all is the similarity thing that we made within our library. And the idea here is that having an object of interest, this model, this AI thing, should be able to suggest alternatives or relevant objects for me as a user. And it's based solely on mathematics or statistics. It's vectors. For those of you knowing vectors, it's just a row of numbers. And we try to compute the distance between those vectors in a typically 2,000-dimensional vector room. It's hard to imagine, but it is possible. So in this example, I have one title which I give to the service, and I get relevant titles to this title back. And I promise you, even though it's hard to see or understand for you, as it is for me to understand your language, it's really interesting to be here and listen to you. I don't understand anything at all. It's so fun. And I wonder, are they just joking, pretending, or are they really talking to each other? It seems like you're talking to each other. This is true. The alternatives are very relevant. You can see it by the photographs. This is a typical house that I have in the countryside. I want other images of that kind of houses from the inside without any metadata. It is just the mathematical similarity or the distance between those in a large vector room. This is an integration with our existing service, and you can see I'm after a horse with something behind it. If it is a wagon or a sledge or whatever, we have no metadata telling this, it's just similarity. The second one is from the National Library of Luxembourg. It's always fun to point at others and their work. They did a nice integration between their collection of newspapers. These are historical newspapers, and they use ChatGPT and the services at OpenAI to give a front end for the user. And again, this is really fun because I talk now, in this example, I use English. As far as I know, the content is German and French. And it performs just perfect in English, and even worse or better. I presume it does in Slovenian and Norwegian. I know it does in Norwegian. What is elegant with this is that it points back to the content, to the relevant articles. So I get a discussion about the relationship between Belgium and France during the 30s, discussion about that, and I got the relevant articles in the collection at the library. If this is not a good help for the user to understand the content, I don't know. Another good example, again pointing at colleagues in Scandinavia, this is from the National Library in Sweden, the Kungliga Biblioteket. They have this photo collection, and they have used the clip technology from OpenAI to give access to the photo collection without metadata. So you talk to the collection without having metadata at all, and you talk in a natural language. It's extremely easy to implement. And in this example, again, this is a Swedish National Library. Everything is in Swedish, and I ask in English. So I ask for people skiing. And of course, I get a lot of images with people skiing without any metadata at all. So try to think this into the library. What does it do to us as libraries? And I claim that, first of all, the production of metadata, the understanding of metadata at all, is going to change because AI is going to take over quite a lot of the work that we used to do, and it's going to do things that we don't do today. What is more interesting, though, is exemplified by the last example, the photo collection. Why do we need metadata if we have the AI functionality? We should at least discuss it. Then I'm going into the new, which is the era where we use the most of our thinking time at the moment being. And we, in this context, is the National Library of Norway. So first of all, we believe, and to some extent we know, that the digital library collections, they may improve the general AI, the technology itself, the performance of AI. And we believe that the library may take a role, a positive role, in the development of the technology. And we also believe that there is a need for something that we might call trustable or true. And who shouldn't be that if not the libraries? So the very large thing happening now on AI is the large language models, exemplified in the beginning of the talk with ChatGPT, etc., which have the GPT-4 and other language models behind. What we observe about those is that they are general. They do a lot of things that they were not planned to do. They can do more or less everything. And they do it extremely, extremely well. They are, in a way, unexpected. When ChatGPT came, it was a surprise to us all. And they are useful. On the other side, they are often closed. We don't know what's in there, how they work, etc. We know that they perform better for the larger languages, and we know that they are also culture-wise centric about the large cultures. We also know that if you train a large language model, you need a lot of data, you need diverse data, you need high quality, and the data must be representative for the domain in which the model is supposed to work. This is what we call a digital library in Norway. So we have all these, we can satisfy all the requirements above. We have done some experiments and some research on this. If we take what is relevant, what we think is relevant from the internet, that is the red, and combine it with what is open in our collection, the relevant sizes is like this. The data coming from the internet, which we basically do not know anything about, is extremely large compared to what we can take out of the open data within the library. If we extend the part of the data from the library to include also data in copyright, this relevant size changes. And this will have implication on the performance of the model that we train. This also means that we have to work to make it possible to use content in copyright to train language models, especially for smaller cultures, smaller languages. So we have taken a step forward and together with the government decided to try to make what we call a model factory. Because we have the data, we have everything, we have the skills, we also have access to compute. So what we do is to aim to produce language models that can be used freely within the Norwegian society, they are aimed at Norwegian and Sami languages. They are aimed at the Norwegian culture. And they are going to be distributed for free. Right now, we are working with agreements with the right holders. It's not trivial, but we think that we can manage in a little while to establish agreements, making it possible to train that kind of models. We have a close relationship with research in the main universities. Even though they are a little afraid that we are going to take over the entire business from them. But we are not. We are going to collaborate, and we have to. So, for the source of facts. One of the really challenging things about the large language models that we have, like we have experienced them so far, is that they tend to just invent truth, which is not necessarily true. They hallucinate, as we say. And they are extremely good at producing false information, not true things. They are producing texts. They are not reproducing texts. On the other side, we have the digital library collections, which are supposed to be sort of a stable documentation of what have been in society. Especially the large collections like at national libraries, this is true. What we think is that we should adapt to also the large services around to make it possible to ground, as they say, the performance, the output from the large language models to the library collections. This was exactly what they did in the National Library of Luxembourg. Very elegant, and I think we will see quite a bit of this, and this is certainly a role that especially the large libraries should take. So I'm getting close to the end, I can see. So let's have a quick view on collaboration. In fact, I could recognize the word AI for lamb in the introduction in Slovenian. Whatever you do on AI, you should have a look into at least aiforlam.org, which is an open network for collaboration, communication about AI in libraries, archives, and museums. It's a nice place to be. We have open calls once a month. We have conferences, we have meetups to dive deeper into certain areas on AI in this community. So please come. It's also a place for those of you who only wants to listen. You don't have to be American and express yourself all the time. You can just come and be there and listen. Then we have another one for established for the national libraries in Europe. Even though it is aimed at the national libraries, we also have open calls where more or less everybody could and should join. They are typically about subjects of interests, like the things I've been through in these presentations, the examples. For lamb, don't forget. By the way, you might see that in the beginning there was a bit.ly link. I presume the organizers will send you the link. It's to this presentation.